Hello and welcome to the Friday Football Show. I'm Alan Saunders on Pittsburgh Sports Live. Thanks for joining me here as we'll do a sort of special live version and an interesting Friday pregame and postgame as we'll talk about the Steelers beating the Carolina Panthers last night at Heinz Field, and we'll also touch on Pitt and Duquesne having big home games for first place this weekend. So a big weekend of college football still coming up. Pro football, at least in Pittsburgh, already taken care of for this week. Let's start there with the Steelers. Obviously, an incredibly impressive showing from the Steelers offense. 52-21, and really, the score doesn't tell the whole story. As the Steelers offense looked dynamic at all levels. It was deep passes from Ben Roethlisberger to Antonio Brown. It was mid-range catch and runs from the likes of Vance McDonald and Juju Smith-Schuster, and it was the running game with James Conner. Everything was working for the Steelers offense. They looked like a juggernaut that really will be able to carry this team against what's not a terrible Carolina defense. That's an average NFC team. They're not great. They're not bad. They're certainly not awful. Not the kind of team that should get embarrassed like the Steelers did. But that just goes to show you that Steelers offense can be very, very, very good while everything is clicking. And you got to like the performance of the Steelers defense, too. A ton of pressure. I think the linebacker group has really stepped up. John Bostic has been playing some of his best football. Vince Williams has, he had a pick six. In addition to just overall pretty solid play. He did get beat on a couple passing routes early. But, just that group, and of course can't discount the performance of T.J. Watt as well. But I think that group's play has risen. I'm still not sure that we've seen them stop a really first-class offense that can spread them out and do a lot of different things. But the Steelers have one of those first-class offenses, and as long as the defense is playing at a reasonably high level, then the Steelers are rolling right now, and they won 4 straight games. Perfect time of year to start to get hot. Everything is going great for the Steelers. Hard to even come up with a lot of negatives to take away from that game. But of course, this is the 2018 Steelers, so we can't go 8 minutes, let alone an entire week, without talking about some off-the-field drama. This week, of course, Antonio Brown was pulled over for speeding in Ross Township, and I don't honestly have anything too interesting to say about that other than it's just frankly impressive to be going 100 miles an hour at any stretch of McKnight Road. But I think that probably is all that there is to that story. But the other story from Thursday, besides the game and the star wide receiver getting pulled over the day of the game, was that the Steelers are expecting Le'Veon Bell to report at some point this week. Just looking at things on the surface, it sounds like a good week to do it with 10 days in between games to get reacclimated to the team. And the initial reaction from a lot of people, and Steelers fans and a lot of other people in the media in the city seems to be that the Steelers don't need him. Hey, look, James Conner has proven that he's if not star running back, certainly a serviceable running back in this offense, and he might be a star running back. And, hey, easy come, easy go. And, you don't get Wally pipped, right? He wasn't hurt, but you don't take your spot. Someone's going to take it for you. And that's the way things go. And I think that is awfully short-sighted because the Steelers, much like any other team in the NFL, who would turn down any amount of time of an all-pro running back? It doesn't make any sense. Le'Veon Bell is an extremely talented player. If he's in shape, he's an unbelievably good running back. If he's not in shape, he'll probably be at least useful. He's at the very least better than Stephen Ridley. And that's where this really comes down to. James Conner has been unbelievable for the Steelers this year. But James Conner is not Superman. He is not immune to injury. In fact, he got injured in the fourth quarter against Carolina. He's right now in the NFL's concussion protocol. And it seems like he's going to be okay, but there's no sure thing that James Conner pulls on a helmet and the shoulder pads every single game the rest of the year. And if he doesn't, what happens next is scary because Ridley is average at best, journeyman pro. Samuel's completely unknown factor as a rookie with hardly any experience, scored his first touchdown in garbage time Thursday night. There's no depth there. There's certainly no quality of depth there. How could you look at a situation where you could replace Stephen Ridley and Jalen Samuels with a guy that was an all-pro a year ago and not want that? That doesn't make any sense. And yeah, there's personalities and the locker room drama, but I tell you what, professional athletes care about winning and getting paid. That's what it is, right? It's a job. They care about the job part of it first, right? Being a professional, I show up, I do the things I'm supposed to do, I get the money I earn, right? That's the first thing. And the second thing is they want to win, right? Because it's a team sport, and that's the point of team sports. Get paid, win. Those are priorities 1A and 1B, and nothing else comes close. And if Le'Veon Bell is hurting, isn't doing anything to stop a player from getting his money, and in fact, his holdout generally is help, the cause of the players' union. If he's not keeping guys from getting paid and he's helping the team win, he's going to be welcomed back into that locker room. Now, maybe the guys aren't going to be best friends anymore. Maybe nobody's going to take him out with his jet skis on the lawn after practice. Who cares? None of that matters. They're professionals. They're getting paid to look beyond that. The point is, whatever's best for the football team between the white lines for 60 minutes on Sunday needs to be what happens, and there's no way anybody can tell me that Le'Veon Bell doesn't make the Steelers better. He does. He's a great running back. Maybe he's in bad shape. Maybe he has a bad attitude. None of that matters. He's better than the guy he'll be replacing. Is he the starter when he comes back? No, I don't think so. I think Connor certainly earned that right. But, like I said, James Conner's not superhuman. In his last 3 seasons of football, he's had 2 knee injuries. I like James. I don't have anything against him. It's a position where people get injured. In fact, this is from the 2015 season, and these I want to get the source right for these. These are from the website Pro Football Logic, profootballlogic.com. These are the NFL running back injury rates for the 2015 season. The average NFL running back misses 5% or is injured 5% of the time and plays an average of 13.3 games out of 16. 13.3. So James Conner's played all of them so far. An average running back will miss 2 games down the stretch, maybe 2.5 games at some point. He missed a quarter, so I guess you can file that in there. The Steelers have been unusually healthy on offense this year. A player like Le'Veon Bell, even if he never plays, but to have the ability of that depth behind James Conner would be an unbelievable addition, an addition that no other team in the NFL can make right now. There's not another impact player that is going to return for a team or that is going to be able to be added to a team. No, nobody else can do that. And the Steelers have all this cap space. They can't spend it on anywhere else. They may as well have him. So the idea that the Steelers shouldn't want Le'Veon Bell or should try to convince him not to report, that's just crazy talk. That the professionals are going to get paid to get beyond whatever personal stuff was said or what locker room drama needs to be taken care of by Mike Tomlin. That's why these guys are professionals. They'll get over it. He's the best player they can add to their team. He makes their team better. They need him because they can get him and they can't get anybody else. And they're thin at running back. And James Conner is not. He's a human being. He's not going to be able to take the amount of carries that he's taken this season forever, and Bell is far better than those other 2 backups. Outside of that, maybe the end is in sight. You can see if you peer to, can you see the precipice of the end of team drama? I don't know, because if Bell reports and Antonio Brown stops driving his car at 100 miles an hour, there might come a time in this Steelers season where all we have to do is talk about football, which I don't know what I'm going to do with myself. I might have to I don't know, learn more about football or something. Just team drama, man. That's what it's all about. Let's talk about college football, where I get to talk about football for the most part. 2 really, really, really big games in Pittsburgh this weekend. Nobody else talks about Duquesne but me, so I want to hit the Dukes first. They have a home game. It's Senior Day on the Bluff. They're playing Sacred Heart at noon. Sacred Heart's in first place. They're undefeated. Duquesne's in second place. They have one loss. Dukes win. They control their own destiny the rest of the way for a playoff spot in the FCS championship. Obviously, if you're a Duquesne fan, you're probably aware of this. If you're not a Duquesne fan, look, it's going to be cold Saturday. I don't know what the crowd's going to be like. Rooney's a great place to see a game. Don't sleep on the Dukes. That's all I'm saying. They deserve your attention too. A bunch of great whippeal players on that team, a bunch of great stories, and obviously a team that's gone through a ton this year with the death of Marquise Brown. And, how can you not root for a team in that situation? Certainly hoping for good things for the Dukes. Pitt, 3:30 kickoff, Heinz Field. I'll be there for Pittsburgh Sports Now. And, it seems like this game happens for Pitt every so often where for whatever reason they're in it. It's 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 weeks into the season and Pitt's in it. They're in it. And they get this game, it's usually at home, where they have a chance to really grab hold of it and put themselves in the driver's seat the rest of the way. And it just seems like they never win it, right? I mean, you go all the way back to Marty Gilliard, and there's plenty of games in between. There's a game against West Virginia, I believe, the next year that Pitt kind of blew. There was the game against North Carolina in 2015, the Thursday night game at Heinz Field, where they win that one. The whole rest of that season unfolds differently. It just seems like this game has happened to Pitt so many times. And so many times Pitt hasn't won it that I think Pitt fans are afraid to feel good about where their team is. And I can't say I blame them, right? I mean, this happens all the time where Pitt gets into this situation and can't find a way to get it done. And, somebody asked Pat Narduzzi yesterday, what's different about this team? Why will this team get it done? And he talked about his seniors. And I think this senior class for Pitt is really interesting because it's really hard to say that there's a superstar there. I mean, if you're looking at this Steelers team from an NFL draft perspective, and you're a scout and you're looking at who's going pro from this Pitt senior class that I think is 19 players deep, I believe. There's not a lot there. Quadri Allison, Darren Hall, I mean, they both probably will get a chance at the next level. I don't know whether they're going to be highly sought after. Obviously, if we want to bring our previous conversation straight into the next one, the running back position at the NFL level is certainly not highly valued. I think they'll be pro players at some level. 4 offensive linemen, varying degrees. Alex Buxer, probably an NFL guard, I think. I don't know at what level he'll be drafted. But there's not a lot else out there. Sean Adowu's probably a guy that is going to get a chance because of the speed and size of the linebacker position. For the most part, Pitt's seniors are just good soldiers. And I hate to use that terminology because it makes them sound like they're less than. But really, there's a lot to be said in college football for having those guys that learn and grow in the system and get to a point where they're able to use whatever physical ability they have at the highest level they can and to be smart players and play within a system the way it's supposed to be played. I mean, I think that's the thing that should provide the hope for this Pitt team. I think Pat Narduzzi hit it straight on the head. Pitt's best players aren't necessarily its seniors, but Pitt has so many of them. You look at that offense, 4 across the offensive line. Rafael Araujo-Lopes in the slot. 2 senior running backs, George Aston. If ever there was a personification of what you want a fifth-year senior to be, it's George Aston, right? Look at the defense. Guys like Dwayne Hendricks, who maybe had his best game at Pitt last week against Virginia. Elijah Zeiss, Sean Idowu, Shane Roy, who's just, a gritty glue guy in the middle of that defensive line that is not making flashy plays. He takes double teams. He makes the guys around him better. That's what being a senior and being old is all about, right? If you look at this Pitt team, it's not old everywhere, but it's got a lot of seniors. And they've seen those games come and go. They've been through, they upset Miami and they upset Clemson, and they lost some games they shouldn't have, right? They know the difference between those. And I think when you get into this situation late in the year where you get a game at home, it's senior day, there's emotions, it's a must-win game. I think that's when you finally glean the reward for playing those guys, for letting those guys develop and playing those guys all this year, is that this is the game where Pitt should be able to lean on its seniors and say, all right, guys, you got this. And so I think that's why this game can be different from Pitt. Look, I am not saying they're going to win. It's a tough game. Virginia Tech is a talented team. They're more talented than their record is. They haven't played their best football yet. But this is a game that Pitt has to win. I think Mike Vukovcan, Pittsburgh Sports Now, wrote an outstanding column today about how much this game means to Pitt, and it means so much more than being 1-0 this week, which is apparently the new thing to say in college football. It means so much for the program to win this game. And listen, if they win this game, they're going to be favored in probably one, maybe not both of their next two games that probably go to that ACC championship game. Yeah, they're not likely to beat Clemson, but man, what would that mean to this program after Pat Narduzzi was getting laughed at for saying, yeah, we're going to that ACC championship game on week like 3 or 4, and then to go there? I mean, that means so much. A huge, huge program and career-defining game for Pitt, for Pat Narduzzi, and for this senior class. Get excited about it. That's all I mean, yeah, it could go badly. They could blow it. They've done it before. They've had bad games. But this is why you play. This is why you show up to Youngstown State in September, and this is why you read my stories from training camp in August or the spring game, and this is what it's all about, right? You got a home game on senior day for first place, for control of your own destiny. That's what it's all about. It's what makes college football great, is that nobody really knows what's going to happen. Pitt's favored by, I think, 2.5, 3. To me, it's a straight toss-up. I don't know what's going to happen, but I feel like Pitt is in a good position to play some of their best football down the stretch. And also, it's supposed to be cold and miserable, and that seems to be just the way that Pat Narduzzi wants to play football. I feel good about Pitt's preparation for this game, but I still think it's going to be tough. We'll see what happens. That's all I've got for this week. Really want to thank Beaver County Auto, sponsors for the studio here. They provide us with what we need to bring this show to you every week. And then also, if you could, give me a like, give me a subscribe at Pittsburgh Sports Live on YouTube. If you subscribe, you also get every one of our videos right to you every time it comes. And there's just a ton of video now that there's football, there's basketball, there's we got Duquesne football, Duquesne basketball, Dan Kigarski's Penguins coverage, soccer stuff. It's all there. And so a lot of stuff on the YouTube channel here for Pittsburgh Sports Live. It's definitely worth a click. Last thing, as always, going to pimp the coverage. And we got a pretty little graphic this week I came up with. Duquesne Sacred Heart, Parker Hurley, David Haig on the Bluff at noon kick. Then at Heinz Field, Dave is going to commute across the city to join me for Pitt and Virginia Tech at 3:30. Zachary Weiss has Duquesne and William and Mary, the season opener for Keith Dambrot and the Duquesne men's basketball team at 5 o'clock. And then Stephen Patrick at Fitzgerald Fieldhouse. It's the first dual meet for Pitt Wrestling. They host CSU Bakersfield at 7. David Haig, if he doesn't go crazy from exhaustion, will be there, probably joined in progress as well. That's it for me. Thanks to all that watch every week, and excited for this big weekend of college football in the Berg. Until next week, thanks for watching, and I'm Alan Saunders on Pittsburgh Sports Live. This has been the Friday Football Show.